Hi, welcome back to 20 Minute Meals with Mark. I'm Mark, and today we're going to do New York strip steaks, a microwave cooked potato dish, and we're going to do asparagus. Asparagus and the steaks are going to be cooked in a sous vide. If you're not familiar with sous vide cooking, it's basically using the heat of the water inside a vacuum sealed or fairly vacuum sealed air removed bag to cook whatever you're cooking. Meats you cook depending on how well you want them done. We're going to cook these medium rare, maybe a little bit closer to medium than medium rare, but we're going to cook them at 130. The asparagus and most vegetables, especially stock vegetables, you cook at a much higher temperature and for not nearly as long a time. We're going to cook them at 183 degrees in this for 13 minutes. So with that, we'll get started and I'll start prepping the asparagus. So asparagus, it's not as difficult as most people think. At least it's not as difficult as I thought it was when I first started to do it. There's a real simple way to prep asparagus. After you rinse it, you just take the stalk and you just pinch and pull. And that's it. I'm going to season it up with some garlic, add it to some seasoned salt, and we're going to go from there. Okay, asparagus is in the casserole. To get it ready, I'm just going to dump some extra virgin olive oil on it. Shake it up real good, make sure it gets good and coated. We add our granulated garlic. Don't be afraid. You're not going to over season unless you just absolutely dump it out. And then we add the seasoned salt. Again, it's your recipe. Do what you want. Some people use salt, pepper, garlic. Some people just use salt, pepper. Some people add lemon. This is a recipe I cook because this is a recipe I like. You cook what you like. You know what your flavors are, okay? So now we're gonna vacuum seal that into a bag and prepare it. We're not gonna drop it into the water just yet, but we're gonna prepare it in the vacuum seal bag. And I prepped some bags, 11-inch bags. The key when you do this for the sous vide is to get it flat. Everything needs to lay flat. Meaning you don't want stuff laid on top of each other. One layer. Like so. Now I'm going to rinse my hand and grab the vacuum sealer. Okay, the vacuum sealer I'm using is a food saver. I've had it for, 15 years. Just don't let it get water into the motors and you'll be fine. But any vacuum sealer works. And if you don't want to use a vacuum sealer, if you actually just have Ziploc bags, you can do the water immersion method. There's plenty of videos out there to show you how to do that. I'm not going to show you today. But we're going to vacuum seal our asparagus. And because I've had this machine for 10 years, I don't quite trust the seal every time, so I double seal it. Okay, done with that. Now I'm going to prep the steaks. We're going to need this again. So I chose New York strip, not because I don't like porterhouse or ribeyes, but because it's a steak that just about everybody can afford. And this happened to be on sale when we decided that this was the meal we were going to cook. So I look for a steak that's got a little bit of marbling. These happen to be bone in. If you don't like bone, you can buy New York strip steaks without the bone. It's real simple. I take each steak individually, rub it down with a little olive oil. Not much, not trying to overpower it, just enough, right? And then I take the seasoning. And again, I don't think in this particular case you're going to over season it, because a lot of this seasoning is going to come off and you're going to bake it in anyways. So take our vacuum seal bag. If you do it, you have a bigger sous vide or a bigger vacuum sealer, you can put all 4 steaks in one bag. We're going to go 2 steaks per bag today, just a little cleaner that way. So part of the deal with the vacuum sealing of the steaks, if you have a steak with a bone in it, it's really important that you use good bags. If you don't use good bags, what's going to end up happening is the bone will puncture it, and then you're going to end up with juice in your sous vide water, or worse, water in your steak. And you don't want that. Okay, we are done with the vacuum sealer. We're going to throw our steaks in the sous vide. And we're just going to make sure that they are completely immersed in the water. So you notice there's two different methods here, right? We got just a plain Lexan Rubbermaid container, and then we have the one. This is also just another Lexan container, but it comes with the insulator and the cover is made specifically for this brand of sous vide. Now we're going to prep the potatoes. So this is a dish I've modified over the years. There's 4 of us going to be eating steak today, so we got 4 red potatoes. You can use the yellow ones. You can use whatever potato you want. It's your deal. I learned a long time ago, if you add just a little bit of sweetness with the sweet potato, it offsets the heat from the jalapeno, and you get an amazing flavor. So we're going to use 4 red potatoes, most of that sweet potato, about half of this onion. Got some fresh garlic cloves, and we're going to put it all in there. I'm using the same thing that I seasoned my asparagus in. You can take it out. You can get a clean one. I'm going to use many of the same spices, so I'm just going to use the same one, just to save time. And you don't really need it to be brand new. These potatoes, bought them at the grocery store this morning. Made sure they're cleaned. Took off any bruising or anything like that. I leave the skin on. Again, some people that just freaks them out. Take the skin off. Knock yourself out. It's your potatoes. So simple mandolin, cheap, probably a TV infomercial buy, again 15 years ago, but it still works. And I use the large dicing julienne attachment. There is a thin one for making like hash browns, but we want them a little bigger, a little bit more substantial cut, so we just... For the sweet potato, if you try to do the whole thing at once, probably break, right? Cut it in half, turn it over flat side down, put it into the holder. Sweet potatoes are a little bit tougher to cut than the red potatoes that I started with. Take a little bit more effort. Helps if you have a sharp mandolin. So I mentioned we're going to put some garlic and some onions in there. This is just a kind of gimmicky way to take the skin off the garlic. It's actually called a skin remover. Just roll it in there, drop it out. Most of the time the skin comes off. Sometimes not so much. So cut it off. Same as with the pulled pork, with the peppers. Cut them off, cut them in half the long way. This one I'm actually going to cook or cut just a little bit thinner, just because, like the garlic, the peppers are strong, and if you get big chunks, you might choke out the people you're feeding. And if that's your intent, well then, use big chunks, but I kind of like the guys that are going to eat with me today, so I'm not trying to choke them out. Okay, so we got our peppers in there. I'm just going to use one pepper. It'll be plenty hot enough. Now, you can use green onions. I like sweet onions, so we're going to use the sweet onion. I brought the green onions because they look good table fare, but again, many ways to skin a cat, many ways to peel an onion, right? One thing I will say is if you try to do this with a serrated blade or a dull straight blade, you're going to struggle. It does a couple of things. Somebody told me that the only way to peel an onion without crying is to put it underwater. I don't believe that. I'm not crying. He might be, but I'm not crying, and it's all about using a sharp knife. Okay, that's all the onions we're going to use. So you got your finished product here, right? You got everything all cut up, and you season it the way you want to. The red potatoes will take in the salt. They do hold a little bit more moisture than the russet potatoes, the big giant ones you get for baking potatoes, but by and large the salt will pull some moisture out. So we're gonna fix that. I like to season on top and then oil when I'm done seasoning. If you don't use jalapeno peppers, one suggestion I might add is just use crushed red or ground black pepper. Coarse ground is better. So we got our salt and our garlic, granulated garlic in here. Just add generous amounts of olive oil. Shake it up a little bit. So I mentioned this is going to get cooked in a microwave. If you're opposed to microwave cooking, you can always put it in the oven or an air fryer. But because we're going to cook it in the microwave, put the plastic wrap on. Like so. Then it goes into the microwave. 10 minutes. So I use a plate and the rubber bands that held the asparagus together, like so. Then we're going to drop it in, making sure it's under the water. Okay, that's 13 minutes exactly. So at about the 10-minute mark from this being 10 minutes into this cooking, we're going to start pulling steaks and throwing them on the skillet. So right now we got potatoes in the microwave, meat and vegetables in the sous vide, and we are rocking. All right, first half of the potatoes, done. Just uncover it. 9 kinds of goodness right there, right? And just stir it up a little bit. I'm using tongs, you don't have to use tongs, you can use whatever you want. Cover it back up. Back in the microwave, 10 more minutes. Okay, so when we want to finish the steaks, I prefer a cast iron skillet, but I left my cast iron skillet at my house. So I'm not cooking at my house, so use a frying pan. This is a good frying pan here. Some people use butter. Might have heard me say I'm trying to be a little bit more fat conscious, so I'm going to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Once this pan gets heated, drop some olive oil in it. once the oil starts to smoke, then we know we're in the right spot to start finishing our steaks. So you don't want water to go on directly into the pan, right? So you just, yes, I know you're going to take some of the seasoning off, but you want to get most of that moisture off of there. We're going to drop it in. No more than a minute on each side. And this is to give it the sear. So one of the things I like even about this cooking method is, even though this is not the choice piece of meat here, the way we cook it and the way we finish it, the only reason you need a knife is to get around the bone. On this one, we're going to throw those extra onions in there. Just because. Then we'll pull off the asparagus. You can smell the sweet potatoes and the jalapenos and the onion. It's just an amazing dish. Simple. Once you get it plated up, pop a good bottle of red wine. This is sous vide steak, sous vide asparagus, microwave potatoes. Enjoy it with your family and your friends. Live long, stay healthy. Thanks and have a great day.